Jay Davis.
It's a nice crisp morning, starting to get some fall, really good football weather.
It is, you know, I wasn't ready for the cold weather, but I will take it over the hot.
Coach, are you prepared for tonight's game?
We're ready to go. We were off last week, so it's we're ready to get back on the football field. So we're glad it's a short week getting this Thursday night game in.
Well, tonight, Horatio is the opponent,
Yes, sir.
and they've had their struggles so far this season. What have y'all done with this off week to be able to prepare for them? Because it's real easy this time of the year for teams to start looking at the next week. What do you do? What do you do to prepare your team just so that they don't overlook an opponent like Horatio?
Well, we try to just take it one game at a time, and also in games where we're going to be heavy favorites, we just want to play to our standard, and not change anything about the way we do things. Just continue to prepare, every week. That's the most important game of the year.
When you start getting this deep into the season, you know who your starters are, but I would imagine you're gonna have some players play tonight that maybe don't get some starting minutes, and you may have even move some guys up. Who tonight can we consider or who can we look for that maybe hasn't had their name called out a lot so far this year that you anticipate having some good time to?
Last week, Taekwon Box, one of our running backs, he broke a 35-yard touchdown at Smackover 2 weeks ago, and I look for him to possibly break a couple of long ones tonight. Damian Corletto, another running back, he had a touchdown at Falk, so those two guys could definitely get a few more carries tonight, hopefully.
All right, Coach, what I want to kind of touch on down here to start with is we were talking earlier, and this is your 21st season
Yes.
at your alma mater. What's it like to go back and coach that kind of, coach 2 decades at the place you grew up at? Seems like a special deal.
It is special, and some of the guys I've got around me on our staff, they make my job a lot easier, and we've been there together for a long time. Coach Jason Patrick, he's our defensive coordinator and assistant head coach. He and I were actually college roommates and been friends for a long time. He came and joined us in 2007, and he did his student teaching there in 2005. And we didn't have a very good year. It was the last losing season we've had, and but he didn't run away from it. Sometimes he jokes and says, I should have left then, but we've been there for a long time. We think continuity has got a lot to do with it. Davian Williams, our offense coordinator, joined in 2010, so those guys have been there a long time, and we've been together for it's a bunch of years now, getting up to 2023, and we know what we're going to do, and those guys do a great job. I'm able to turn it over to them and let them go.
With everybody we've brought on, the coaches, all the coaches we brought on, they've got great cultures, and you guys seem to be just the next one in line that has built a culture, built sustainability at these programs. What does it take, to have that, 18 years we're looking at now without a losing season? That's a big deal.
Well, consistency, and our guys come to work every day. We get after it in the weight room. Coach Williams really pushes them in the weight room. He kind of runs that for us, and in the summer we have great attendance for all our practices and the weight workouts, and then we kind of have built our football where it rolls right into the off season and rolls right into track, and our track team's been very successful. We've won the last 6 state championships, so and we start those guys 7th grade all the way up, kind of football. If you're a basketball player, right into basketball. If not, you go to off season and right into track. So it's been a great recipe for us.
Well, one of the things that I like to look at is just the social media aspect of things, and one of the things that I see week in, week out is the fan base in your community definitely comes out and supports your team. Talk a little bit about your community and how Prescott supports the team in the school.
It's a great football community. I don't think the schools had to pay for a pregame meal this year so far. Either a church or or somebody that used to play there or be a manager there or whatever will take care of our meals for us. If we have a big game, they're going to show up. Last year, we went to Homer. It was the first time anybody at Prescott had played out-of-state opponent, in years, and we filled that place up, man. It was awesome to see that many come out. Hour and a half down the road, we went to McAlester, Oklahoma this year, which is 3.5 hours, and we had a great crowd there. Just if they know it's going to be a big football game, they're going to be there to support. They love their Curly Wolves.
They're going to turn out. Well, that McAlester game, that's your only loss of the year, and that's
Yes.
a 5A school.
Yeah, they were the defending 2-time in a row state 5A runner-ups out there. We knew it was going to be a great challenge. And, we had our opportunities. We had the ball on the 8-yard line when the game ended. And, we felt like there was a holding on our receiver, but, the referees didn't see it that way. We were hoping for one more play with no time.
Right.
It was a great game. It helped. They were very physical in the box, did a good job against the run. So we just, we hung in there with them, played well.
Now, some of your players, you got Genoa Harris, Dakari Prater, PJ Gully, or is it DJ or PJ? PJ Gully and Pierce Yates. That's kind of some of the kids that stand out. You read it week after week.
Right.
Who are some of the kids that are doing the same work that we're just not hearing about as much?
Well, Dwayne White's up there and Jalen Johnson. Those are our outside receivers. And Spencer Hubbard's been doing a good job catching the ball. Of course, our offensive line is playing better. We've had some struggles this year, a little bit young there, but, we've pretty much got settled in and getting those kinks worked out.
Well, you had a shutout against Smackover, so some of those kinks were definitely worked out. What are some of the challenges that you've made to your defense for this game tonight? I know that there's some coaches out there and even fans. They love to have the shutout. But what are some specific goals that you want your defense to have tonight?
Well, we want to emphasize some 3 and outs tonight. They do a good job of grinding it. They can hand it to the fullback and get 3 or 4 yards at a lick. Their quarterback's a playmaker, does a good job on third downs. He can, if it's not there, take off and get first downs. So we're really wanting our guys to just settle in and play sound defense up front and get the ball to the offense quick and not let them grind it out. Smackover was able to get some first downs, and they did a good job. Kind of a wildcat package where they just snapped the quarterback and he ran it. And we'd like to get the ball and have more opportunities with offense. So we're pushing for 3 and outs tonight.
So I know the focus right now is Horatio, but where can we find you tomorrow night?
Well, I haven't decided yet. We've got several options. One of them is Magnet Cove and Glen Rose they're playing, so that's a possibility that we'll scout that one. And then there's several others. We were at Fordyce last Friday, checking those guys out. They played Arkadelphia, played them really well, and they're a scary opponent. We're looking at those guys in the second round. Of course, we got to take care of business in the first round to get there, but they're. I was telling my brother on the way over, they're that far from being a district champion on getting stopped on a 2-point conversion. So those guys are going to be tough. That's why we wanted to look at them last week.
Now, y'all will host round 1, correct?
Yes, sir.
Will you all host throughout the Little Rock the way it looks?
Now, we'll host the first 3 if everything goes. If the favorites win and the higher seeds win, we'll be on the road for the semis.
Okay.
The 2 1 seeds that we could travel to would be Hoxie or Salem. Of course, they've got to do their part and win.
Right.
If we are still around in the semis, which we plan to be, and one of those guys get upset, it would be at Prescott.
Now, are Hoxie and Salem, are they in the top 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Both undefeated.
Both undefeated.
So going into this season, I like to talk to the coaches and just talk about the feel of a particular team. How has this team matched up to the teams that you've had in the past?
Really well. I think on the defensive front, we're about as good as we've been. We've got really good size up there and a lot of experience as well. 3 of those guys are back from last year, and then the only guy that we've got playing both ways right now is Rocco Patrick. He stepped in and filled the other spot, and he's just an outstanding player, great athlete for us. And The defensive ends, Jamarion Burton, Marshawn Rafter at the other end. Those guys both started last year. Rashid Muhammad, defensive tackle, and then Rocco Patrick's that other one. They're getting help from Colton Arnold and Xander Carter both come in and help them out. A little bit of Gavin York too, but that front four, they're elite. Linebacker wise, Talon Smith, he had about 140 tackles last year. He's back. He's all over the field as well.
Well, you mentioned only having one player playing both ways. Mm-hmm. You start getting into this playoff stretch. I mean, do you anticipate possibly some more athletes playing both ways? Because that's when you want to put the best 11 out there.
If it gets to a point where someone's needed, we'll do whatever we got to do. But our guys are pretty well set into their role. Dakari Prater came in. Dwayne White got kind of shaken up in the Homer game, and Prater came in and filled in for him. And then also some of our empty sets, he comes in as an extra receiver, and he's our best defensive back. But he can play anywhere on the offense. He's also our backup quarterback. He's just a guy that can do it all. So you could see him. Dwayne White has potential to play some defensive back if needed, even outside linebacker or off the edge. But right now, we feel really good about it, and we even try to spell Rocco. Usually Colton Arnold gets him pretty regular to keep him fresh. So we like getting to go one way. We feel like we're blessed to be able to do that.
At y'all's classification, having enough dudes to do that, it goes back to that culture and what you've built, and when you've got all the athletes in the school in your program, it definitely is going to be a difference maker when you start going to these other schools.
You look at it down here, Jay. Our 3 and 4A guys, they're not playing that few kids one way. I mean, that's a blessing. I mean, an absolute huge deal that a lot of opponents will not be able to overcome as the playoffs go on.
Well, we typically, or not typically, we all have day jobs, so this is fun for us. And every time that I get to speak to a coach, there's something that I always get to take away, and you've just given me my takeaway. The fact that Prescott's got enough dudes where only one plays both ways, that's pretty impressive.
Well, we graduate about 60 to 65 each year, and we'll dress about 68, 69 tomorrow night or tonight.
Wow.
Now, do y'all have a JV, or do you just put them all together?
We play JV on Monday nights.
And then they'll get to redress
Yeah,
on
they
Fridays?
dress out on Fridays as well, yeah.
That's a lot of kids for a 3A school.
Yeah, we've had 58 all year, and then we moved some freshmen up, so that's why we're going to be a little higher, close to 70 tonight. But there's strength in numbers. There's no doubt about that. If you don't have the bodies, your program can start going down. So we try to get them to start loving it in 7th grade, and we went undefeated in that class this year, and junior high went undefeated as well. So, we feel like we've got it rolling pretty good.
So you've got a few more years left in you then.
I hope so.
We were speaking to Dakari Prater a while ago. I want to kind of point out and give him some recognition. Does he have two or three Division I offers right now?
He's got a couple of Division I offers, and a lot of interest from all the D2s in the state, and getting more. Right. He's getting more, and he's going to get even more. He's a really good player.
I know his first offer was Marshall out of West Virginia, and if you know anything about college football, Marshall, was a historically great D2 program. Then when they moved up to D1, they had Byron Leftwich, and I can't remember Chad's last name. He played in the NFL also. But, they moved to Division I, and they've had a great run there.
Yes.
So
yeah, it's a great offer for him, and like I said, we're hoping even more is going to come his way.
Chad Pennington, remember, played for the Jets.
Yep.
2 great quarterbacks came through there. So.
And a pretty good wide receiver.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about Randy Moss.
That's right. Pretty good one.
Yeah, he's pretty handy.
He didn't start there. He just finished there.
Right.
He had to go back home.
He does a good job on the mic, too.
He does. We should bring him on.
Yep.
He's got plenty of personality.
He does.
Well, Coach, I believe we're going to let you get back to football coaching, and we'll go to talking about why our buddy wasn't here this morning. So, but we sure appreciate you coming in, and good luck, Curly Wolves, and we're rooting for you.
All right. I appreciate y'all
Good
having
luck.
me. Thank
Appreciate
you, guys.
it.
Thank you, Coach.
We are excited to announce here at Texarkana Emergency Center and Hospital that we have expanded our capabilities to better serve our community. As a hospital, we have the capability for inpatient services. After your outstanding emergency care, we can smoothly transition you into one of our new inpatient rooms that have telemetry monitors in every room to continue your concierge medicine care. While our patients continue receiving their care in their inpatient suites, we also make sure that your loved ones are taken care of with our outstanding facilities. Our added services include a procedure room and also the capability of MRIs. With our imaging, we are able to offer outpatient, inpatient, and emergency room MRI, CT, ultrasound, and X-ray. We are honored by your support and look forward to serving all your future medical needs.
And we are back, episode 12, segment 2. Morgan's in with us now, and Jay, and the noticeable absence of Buddy Shelton.
Yeah, man, Buddy. Seems like every time Hooks is playing, like a rivalry game, Buddy's a no-show.
It's every time. I mean, anytime there's any kind of adversity, he's not coming.
Yeah. And I don't know what kind of questions he's trying to avoid.
He did text me this morning to make sure that I was going to be here, but I told him I don't miss. And, I think I may have missed one.
Yeah, I mean, but you expect your team to win every week.
So
You know what I mean?
Well, I don't want to speculate, but I will. But there was some kind of altercation over Hooks football with a dude that played maybe college football or something along those lines, on Facebook. And I think that there's, Buddy just don't want to be in public right now because he don't know who's going to come out of the woodwork.
So basically, this dude put Buddy on site.
He called Buddy out and said the next time he saw him, it was going to go down, and and now Buddy's not here, so it's not a coincidence. That's been less than 48
because the guy
hours.
would have known at 7 o'clock on Thursdays.
It
Show up
makes
at Phone
sense.
Pros behind Target, and you can find Buddy Shelton. But
Absolutely.
that might explain this extra car in the parking lot. I was trying to figure out whose it was.
he flashes lights twice.
Yeah, so Buddy's basically scared, is what you're saying.
Pretty well. That's exactly.
So
what I'm saying.
Buddy's internet activities finally caught up to him, is what I'm hearing.
That's what it is. I mean, Hooks fans fighting within Hooks fans is, it's kind of crazy. But when it comes to not coming and doing your job, it gets a little bit too serious.
Yeah. I mean, Buddy's a keyboard warrior for sure. So,
Is he typing already?
he probably is. I don't know who Bruce Roseberry is, but it sounds like
That sounds
sounds like an alias
Alias for Buddy.
for something.
Oh,
I haven't been on here in a while, man. I ain't gonna say I missed you guys, but
well, you never miss because you were fear of an altercation.
that's true. I'm not gonna miss because of that. Because I got to be here anyway, so they're gonna be able to find me no matter what.
Well, we'll move into
Oh, Chris said he's a telephone tough guy. That's funny. I'm gonna start calling him that too.
who said that?
Looney did.
Oh,
Telephone tough guy.
we'll move into players of the week. For Pleasant Grove, or for Texarkana Friday Night Lights, offensively, Pleasant Grove's Jalen Boardley, 149 yards, 4 touchdowns. Pretty impressive. evening.
Bortles came on strong last couple games.
And that was basically done in 2 quarters.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, it
And
could have
so-
been as many as they
And
wanted it to
he was
be.
1 touchdown away from tying the school record. But it was definitely good seeing fresh faces on the field for Pleasant Grove. So Jalen got to be a fan.
Absolutely. He may have had the headset on in the third quarter like some of the other ones.
He did.
Well, we got our defensive players. One we were talking about a while ago, Division I, the defensive back prospect, Dakari Prater out of Prescott. He had 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, want to believe an interception, and also took an opening kickoff back to the house for a touchdown. So
I call that a full game.
special day for him. Who'd y'all have?
On the offensive side of the ball, we had Rip Birdwell. I believe this may be our first back-to-back MVP ever. Played a perfect game, and man, I'm telling you, for me to pick you for something like that, it's got to be big. Perfect QBR rating, was 10 for 10, rushed for another 80 with 2 touchdowns, 6 total touchdowns. I remember years ago, and I know y'all have heard me say this, saying that Rip was the best Little League quarterback I've ever seen play football. And he's developed into a great player, and in the absence of Tripp, he's played great football.
It's been kind of a Cinderella unbelievable deal how they never missed a beat.
Man, it looks more and more like, man, this may be their time to win it. Everything seems like it's coming into place. They have all the ingredients. I was at walk-ons last night, and a couple were asking me, what's the deal with Hooks? Can they win it? And I said, nobody's seen them play 4 quarters. I was there first game of the year against Harmony. I went to the only game that they were challenged, and they came out victorious. But you don't know how bad that's going to hurt a team in because it's not going to happen in week 1. It probably won't happen in week 2, but somewhere down the line they're going to have to play 4 quarters, and I don't doubt they can. It's just they haven't. So you don't really know how good Hooks is. Right. I guess that was my point of all that. Not if that came off different, I didn't mean it that way, but you don't know how good they are because they haven't played anybody to push them. And first game right out of the gate, I don't know if you can, say, oh, a team's this or a team's that, and lose your starting quarterback. Harmony was a good team. I think they beat Harmony really, really bad right now. Right. But they can win it. It just everything looks like they can win it.
And if Dangerfield takes care of business, they get Harmony again in round 2. So
yeah, Harmony, I don't believe is going to be a factor in the playoffs.
Oh, I think that Hooks is better. Hooks has got guys. Okay, you look at last week. I don't know if anybody paid attention. Brilliant coaching by Hooks. Winky Williams is DCAB's star. They hit early in the game. They hit Boogie Johnson over the middle for a big 38-yard touchdown. If you look for the next quarter and a half, Boogie Johnson runs go routes. Guess who's following Boogie Johnson?
Yeah, they're just taking him out of the game.
Winky Williams. And by the second quarter, he's gassed. But the point is, even though that's their star, you've got Emmanuel Baird over here, Rod Bailey, that are going to go start for every team in that conference and be the star. They can't cover them all.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about handing it off to Keyshawn or Coulter.
Well, and I think the defense is going to be what gets them through the playoffs. Their offense has been impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Hooks' defense is what's going to make the biggest impact once they get into the playoffs.
Yeah, what sets them apart from every 3A team, and every 3A team. You look at the teams that play in the state championship every year. Was it Gunner? Is that who I'm thinking about? Every year, they're going to have 2 guys that they can get the ball to. And at the 3A level, if you got 2 guys, you got one more than everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Hooks has more than that. And it's very rare to have a capable quarterback in high school that can get the ball to anybody and make all the throws. Man, I'm telling y'all, if you're in Hooks, go ahead and book your hotel room. This may be it.
Well, cherish this year because it's going to be special.
Yeah, definitely. Defensive MVP, Kenneth Merriman, Texas High. Had a big game. Talked to him last night at walk-ons as well. He was there, good kid. He had a big game for the Tigers, and shout out to him. And Texas High, they can win it all as well.
Well, and their defense by far is probably the best defense I've seen of any team that I've played, and even watching Pleasant Grove. They're just so stacked on the defensive side.
Yeah, the defensive line for Texas High is absolutely mad. This is, the thing, Texas High, since 19 at least, they've always had a good defensive line. This defensive line, at one time they had Clayton and Derek Brown on the edges, and right now it's that size has moved to the inside where you're just not going to run up the gut on them. And, they're so well coached. It's even if someone's out, you don't even notice the backup's in, So
no, they just plug the next guy in.
Yeah, and so there's not a huge drop in talent at any position. And I think what it really comes down to with Texas High, they're probably going to have Terrell round 1, which knocked them out of the playoffs last year. And Terrell is a super dangerous 4 seed because quarterback hadn't been playing. They have starters that haven't been playing. They're all back this week. They're still going to get the 4 seed no matter what. So they're really playing a 1 or 2 seed in the first round of the playoffs, which is exactly what happened last year. So they're a dangerous 1 seed. Week 2 will be a Dallas team that's probably not going to be that great. That'll be an easy win. But what really if they can get through week 3, if Texas High beats Melissa, they can win it all. Round 4 isn't going to be a cakewalk, but it's not going to be a tough game. Round 5 is a cakewalk, and then you're in the state championship game.
So Melissa's the key.
Melissa's ranked number 1 in the state, which, depending on how you look at rankings. But, yes, they've been bell-to-bell number 1.
That was a silence.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, we'll move into game of the week. We got Harmony at Dangerfield. That's a battle of, Dangerfield's ranked in the top 10. Harmony came in as the preseason number 3 in 3A Division II. They lost a couple games early. They're out of the top 10, but still a capable team. They've got Boston Seahorn back. I still think Dangerfield wins this game fairly easily. Dangerfield's firing on all cylinders.
Just out of pure hear the name Dangerfield, I'm never picking Harmony over Dangerfield.
No, it's
never in my life. What have I been like? Harmony's going to beat Dangerfield, and it's not going to be today either.
Well, Harmony has never beat Dangerfield.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
And one of the things that has impressed me the most for Dangerfield is in their district games, they're allowing 6 points a game.
Oh, after the debacle at Center, and I don't know if you know what that is. Center's in the they playing the district with Carthage, so they're bigger than Dangerfield. Dangerfield goes down there, gets up in the second quarter, 21-0, and the wheels come off, and they lose 28-21. Since then, they've given up 2 or 3 touchdowns combined.
Sometimes those games are the most important game of the year because it sort of puts you on notice.
It was a wake-up call, and they've been lights out since.
And Dangerfield's another one of those teams that they're going to have 2 guys that can go. And at that level, it really matters. At Texas High's level, you need 4 guys. You have 4 really good players, like great players, you can win it. But at that level, 1 will do. They got more than that.
And the biggest thing about this game is it's huge because guess what? You lose this game, you're running into our Hornets out here in round 2. You don't want to lose this game. You want to win the district, but more importantly, you want to get opposite of Hooks.
Neither team has lost at home, but they are playing at Dangerfield.
Right.
Harmony's not going to win this game.
Oh, I think Dangerfield wins by 14 to 17 points. And Harmony's good, but they're not Dangerfield or Hooks good.
Yeah, I feel like when I watched the Hooks game with them, Hooks they didn't play into their playbook, but man, it was not great officiating. And it always went against Hooks. And I understand why it does. Like, Birdwell's really hard on those refs. But
you talking about in the playoffs last year?
No, in the game I saw earlier this year. But Birdwell, that's just gamesmanship. He's not doing anything wrong. But he does lose some calls, I think. Or he did in that game anyway, for sure. But I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. I didn't think to myself, man, Harmony's that great.
Right.
Never thought to myself during that game,
well,
Harmony's great. I just felt like Hooks kept getting the raw end of every deal.
Where you were saying, earlier, where if you're 3A and you got 2 dudes, you're going to be really good. That's the way Harmony is. They've got the quarterback and they got a running back. And last year, Harmony limps into the playoffs. They beat Hooks. And if you talk to Hooks fans, there was 2 first-quarter touchdowns called back for flags. One of them was offensive pass interference. When do you see that in high school? But, Harmony literally caught lightning in a bottle going to the semifinals. They weren't supposed to beat anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that success propelled them into a echelon that they don't belong in, and that's why you've seen them lose a couple games.
Hype is real.
Well, let's move on down here to Spring Hill at Pleasant Grove. This is a one-sided game, but you want to stay healthy. But here's the big 2 things here. A win gives the Hawks a district championship, which would be the 4th in the Gibson era. it also would give Coach Gibson his 100th win.
So, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong. Every time Gibson has won the district championship, he has played for the state championship.
Yes, that's correct.
100% accurate. He won it in 17, 18, and 19, went back to back to back, and we're back in 23 with number 4.
And a number 3 ranked team in the state. I like it. I like what I'm hearing.
There's a lot of good things over there. You know, we want to get healthy this week. You know, talking about you're talking to coach, the Prescott coach. We're going to get some more kids in the game. We got a few kids that need to mend up, that needs to be ready by week 3.
Well, for me, this is going to be an emotional game because you've got Coach Gibson, 100th win on the line. His son is a senior.
Oh.
Jackson has had a tremendous year so far. You've got to assume, and he has said so. He's definitely developed a relationship with this team because his son's on it, and he has his players come over quite often to hang out with Jackson. So I do think that that first quarter is going to be a little tough. Just to get the emotions out of the way. But I do think that it's going to be one-sided. I think that we're going to get to see what PG may look like a little bit next year. Selfishly, I'm ready to see a little more Brody Watts. Only averaged 10.7 yards a carry last game. So I'm excited about this game, and I'm truly going to have to be a fan because I do get to watch it on game day because I will not be in town. But the emotion side of it is going to be big for me that first quarter and how they come out.
And not just for Jackson, but for that entire class. I mean, you've got a absolutely special class going through there. I believe there's going to be 19 seniors, and I mean, it's going to be a very, very long time before Pleasant Grove puts a group together like the class of 2024. And it's been a fun year, but it's went by quick.
It has went by quick. And I don't just speak on Gibson a little bit. I don't know if I've seen him coach this hard ever. Like since I've been around, like he knows he has something special, leaving no stone unturned, which is a phrase he used during the 19 season. Like he knew they were going to win it,
right.
And like you were not getting in the way of that championship. And this feels the same. And there's always going to be that looming question: can they beat Carthage? Well, we'll find out in 3 weeks.
Well, I'll tell you something that's going to be very interesting. And if LE takes care of business over at Paris tonight with North Lamar, or it may be here anyway, they should win that game. That puts LE in the playoffs. But you know what your consolation prize is?
Well, you got Carthage next Thursday, Pine Tree and Longview.
But here's the deal with that Carthage game. One thing LE did to PG is they beat them up physically. They did not win the game, but they were so physical that they beat them up physically.
Yeah, and
maybe OLE could do us a favor, and Carthage has not faced a team that'll be as physical as LE. I'm not sure they can win, but
that's a rivalry game, man. I feel like all bets were off in that game, with it being a rivalry game. But I'm not gonna sugarcoat, man. LE could have won that game. There were 2 calls on the sideline that I feel like could have went either way. And they both went for Pleasant Grove. Now I don't know if that would have, they still got a score, and they ultimately ended up getting beat by 2 scores. So probably not, but that was a lot closer game than even the scoreboard showed because they didn't win it till late.
But LE's physicality is what if they can go and compete and be physical like they were with us, that helps Pleasant Grove down the road.
Well, and it's going to be a coachable moment in the playoffs because if things do get tightened up in a game, they're going to be able to go back and say, hey, guys, y'all let Liberty Allo stay in that game a little bit longer than what you wanted. Y'all need to get it back in gear. So I think that Liberty Allo game for Pleasant Grove was a very, very important game for them.
It was growth. It was good for them.
Well, I graduated from Spring Hill, and they have no chance to win this game. But they're not the pushover we're used to here lately.
Now they beat Liberty ILO. They were started the district 3-0, lost last week to Gilmer, but led early.
Yeah.
They've given up a lot of points, and that's going to be the concern for Spring Hill. I don't think you can keep Pleasant Grove under 40. But they're gonna try to find some sort of answer for the Pleasant Grove offense.
Well, they're going to come out and they're going to do what North Lamar did, and it didn't work for North Lamar. They're going to come out of that slot T veer offense, and they're going to run the dive, and they're going to run the pitch, and they're going to take 40 seconds off the play clock. But after a stop or two, they're not going to stop Pleasant Grove. But they could keep the score lower if they could get a first down here and there.
Tell you what, and an addition that has definitely made that tougher is B.J. Rochelle.
B.J. Rochelle is a big-time playmaker. He makes a good defensive line great. This defensive line is now better than it was last year. And you had Vic and Lance on the edges.
Yep. This special team, PG, I mean, it's crazy to say, like, we legitimately have 3 teams for sure, unless somebody else goes on a run, that can be playing in December.
Absolutely.
And it's fun, man. It's a fun time for football, fun time for Texarkana.
And you go to the Arkansas side, you got two teams that they're favorites over there. So if you take a pin, drop it in the middle of Texarkana, and you go 50 miles around, man, it's a special place, a special time.
Well, you got this thing zoomed in on me.
Because you're looking so handsome is what it is.
No, I didn't even brush my hair this morning. I got straight out of bed and came up here.
Kind of favor, buddy. If you put red hair on him.
No.
All
right. You want to start a war? You don't want one with me. Hey, I grew up talking mess. You'll end up crying by the end of the day.
Lord.
I got somebody on Photoshop. It's an expert.
Is that Jay?
Jay is one of them. But if you make me mad, I'm gonna bring in the big guns. Aaron Murray's gonna take care of you.
You got their number.
She works for me.
Okay.
Remember I made Craig a Cowboys fan a few years ago for the playoff game, the 49ers Cowboys playoff game. Yeah, dude, it was real. It was real. Looked real anyway.
Well, we need to have a good one for Buddy next week. Since he was scared to show.
I think keyboard warrior, telephone tough guy. We might need to look at just kicking him off.
Possibly.
Because he really only shows up for weeks he knows they're going to win. They play anybody that, can play with him. He doesn't show up. Evidently if somebody threatens him online, he doesn't show up.
And it was a Hooks fan. That's what's crazy.
Yeah,
Hooks,
he's like, you know what?
Fire.
I'm just going to go to the depot where I know I'm safe, and I'm going to stay there. You know what I mean? Like, we can't move the show to the depot.
He knows there's cameras and gates.
Yeah, he's just, telephone tough
There's
guy,
also,
like Lenny
there's
said.
also big deer out there. There was a deer posted this week. A young lady harvested a.
What do you got to do to hunt out there?
I don't know. I think you have to know somebody.
Well, we know Buddy.
You're the freaking senator for this area.
Easy.
Can we go hunt? You gonna be a senator one day? What are you gonna do? What's your plan? Congressman, what are you gonna do?
Nope. I'm just gonna be a game day analyst.
Mayor of Texarkana.
I'd vote for Jay.
Game
I
day
would too.
analyst.
I'm gonna tell you, I told Jay I had a problem in front of my house one time, legitimate problem, not a me problem. The city's got a problem. Within 2 weeks, it was taken care of.
That's mayor. That's
mayor material.
Anytime it's a safety concern, it needs to be addressed, and that's one of the great things about the city staff that the Texarkana has is once it's made aware, they're on top of it.
This is the way he deflected.
Yeah.
Like,
He's like,
trying to tell you something good about you.
We'll go to Pine Tree at Texas High.
Should be a blowout, but somehow Pine Tree has played with them the last 2 years.
They have.
They have. They almost beat them last year.
3-point game last year.
Yeah, and I don't know how. I was talking to one of the coaches last night, and I was like, "How do they play with y'all?" He's like, "Man, I don't even know." It's like we play them, and it is like we go out of our way to play bad.
Well, my call last week didn't pan out, but I'm calling for the first shutout of the season for Texas High.
First of the year. And here's the deal. Pine Tree's not a bad team. They're just not Texas High. They got a win record. I believe they're going to go to the playoffs.
Still like that Texas High defense.
Yeah, I just, as a Longview, I can't say anything nice.
And Texas High, they clinched the district championship last week.
Back to back to back to back.
4.
Yeah, that's what that means.
We're gonna get some shirts.
We're gonna get some back to back to back to back. They're gonna win it next year too. So what is that? 5 times?
Yep.
I don't know about the year after that, but for sure next
Fifth
year
tuple.
they're gonna be. Texas High is gonna be so good next year. Get y'all season tickets now for next year. God, they're gonna be good.
And what's crazy is they lose some stars, but you're right. I mean, next year's the year they've been circling.
Nobody really thought this was the year.
They just kind of
It's just like everything's clicked, But next year, there's no doubt.
Oh, they're going to be loaded.
Yeah.
Absolutely loaded. All right, we got next we go North Lamar at Liberty Ilo. Liberty Ilo it's not been the best year for them, but you know what? They have plenty to play for. Take care of business there, you get to play Carthage. And here's the deal. We know Carthage is the big evil giant, but who doesn't want to get to play them? Who doesn't want to get a shot?
Yeah, they got some kids that can play college football on Liberty Ilo's team. That'd be a perfect game for them to have a great game. You're going to be seen. A lot of eyes are going to be on you no matter what. So, taking care of business tomorrow night might buy another 4 years for a few of these kids.
Absolutely.
Well, and tomorrow night's going to probably be the healthiest that Liberty Ilo's been all season as well. And, go back to, it's easy for us as fans to look over this game and assume that they win. They match up to Carthage. And I can't say enough the game that they put up against Pleasant Grove.
Well, I watched.
And if Carthage is sleeping and they've got a bye week, it'll be interesting to see how that first playoff. Round
Carthage has probably not been challenged in the first round in over a decade. I mean, you look at Liberty Ilo. They got 4 to 5 kids can play Division I. Carthage ain't played nobody like that. I'm not saying they're going to beat them, but this isn't your vintage Carthage. They're a great Carthage, but it could be interesting.
I think the main thing comes down, I think this happens with them a lot, is like, do they think they can win? And that's like, what's the mindset? Do they think they can win or not?
Absolutely.
If they think they can win, and they're not going, Liberty Ilo is talented. Just can they put it together?
Yeah, it's been a lot of mental game, a lot of not playing as a team.
Yeah, but North Lamar is in for problems Friday night.
Watch both teams. I mean, to me, this isn't a close game. Liberty Ilo gets a couple stops. I mean, Liberty Ilo could win by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's football. It's crazy. I sat on here whatever week they played Spring Hill and said they're going to beat Spring Hill as bad as they want to, and they made a meme out of me in Longview for it. So you just don't know, I don't guess. I don't know. Evidently, I'm bad at picking teams.
So you're not going to get invited back to be honorary captain for homecoming?
They did not. Actually, my reunion was this year, and they did not. No longer wanted there. I need to start telling people I didn't graduate there.
Well, next we got Mineral Springs at Murfreesboro. Number 1 team in the state versus number 8 team in the state in 2A. Undefeated teams. Conference titles on the line tonight.
Tonight?
Or no, I'm sorry, tomorrow. I misspoke.
Arkansas High plays tonight, don't they? What's the day? Thursday? Yeah.
Arkansas High, Falk, and Prescott.
Huh. I might go up to that Arkansas High game.
Well, I'm going to go to Falk.
They're playing D-Queen?
D-Queen, yeah. D-Queen.
As far as D-Queen from here?
D-Queen is about an hour and 10 minutes. And, hey, D-Queen's got a fine facility up there. They really do.
What?
D-Queen has a very nice stadium.
We're talking about, all right, I'm going to Arkansas a lot. We're talking about if you're going to Albert Pike, you pass Ashdown, where you normally would go right to go to Albert Pike. The next town straight, D-Queen.
Yes.
No, D-Queen's back to the west. You thinking Locksburg or Derricks?
First off,
That's D Queen. That's what
it's Derricks. Or it's Dirks. Not Derricks.
It depends on who.
It depends on if somebody went to school and knows how to spell or not. That's exactly what it depends on.
I've got people graduated. It's Derricks.
It's Dirks. And find me something that tells me it's Dirk. Like there's no way.
I'm gonna have to bring Justin Allen on here, who was the quarterback in 1997.
Well, you better tell him to bring his ABCs because they're breaking all kinds of rules calling it Derricks.
Well, here's the deal. Okay, In Louisiana and the rest of the world, it's Lafayette. In Southwest Arkansas, what is it?
Lafayette.
Lafayette.
I mean, you just make stuff up. I mean, just say, hey, you're right. It is
Hey.
it is spelled Dirks, but we're gonna call it Derrick's. He's telling me that. You know what? You're right.
And-
All right.
and-
But what they're doing is arguing about it.
And
Like,
we got one more. What is it? Las Vegas what? Nevada.
I was like, what?
It's Nevada,
Nevada.
in Southwest Arkansas.
Like Raiders, Spirit. What are you talking about?
But back to the Murfreesboro Mineral
Anyway,
Springs.
hold on.
Okay,
D-Queen.
D-Queen.
I go through D-Queen to get to the Arkansas games, right?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay. What kind of facility are you talking about? What is nice?
Their football facility. They
I know.
got,
Well,
they got
compared to something I know.
it's better than what they got at Hooks. And that's not a bad place.
All right. So the field.
The field, the
Okay,
stands. You know, they've got some retaining walls. I mean, the concessions, they're new. They're
I've been to
nice.
Ashdown. I'm hearing retaining wall. They got a retaining wall.
This is about 10x of Ashdown.
What?
Ashdown's not.
Why
that
do
nice.
they have this kind of facility there? Do they?
Well, they have won like 9 soccer state championships in a row, and they use the same field. Maybe that's what it is. They have not had a lot of success on the football field.
That was why I was wondering why they had such a nice stadium.
They've
'Cause
got
it
a nice
doesn't
place.
All right. I'd see what's going on tonight.
But anyway, Arkansas High. But Mineral Springs, Falk, they're all tonight. But this, on paper, and, the Murfreesboro fans aren't going to like this, but Mineral Springs is going to win. They're going to win by a lot. And they're going to win every game they play in the playoffs by a lot.
I don't know where Murfreesboro is, but I'm picking Murfreesboro.
You're going to pick Murfreesboro?
Murfreesboro is allowing fewer points in district play,
See, I knew I was picking.
Yeah,
a
but they're
good one.
scoring about.
and they're playing at home.
Well, here's
go.
also one of the, you can't look at all common opponents, but one of them is a big deal. Murfreesboro had to make a play to beat Mount Ida 8-6. Next
But
week,
they made it.
Mineral beats the brakes off of them. But and here's the deal: Mineral's not your average 2A team. If Mineral come down here and dressed out, you'd think there's a 3A team. You put them in the district with Hooks and DeKalb, they're your 3 seed. There's no doubt about it.
Well, this sounds like an underdog story that I want to be a part of. Murfreesboro, let's go.
And
to
the
me,
Murfreesboro,
Rattlers.
I was wanting to make Morgan say it.
What are they?
The Rattlers,
The Rattlers.
bite them.
Man, they need to make a snakeskin helmet.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah,
wouldn't
do like some diamondback scales on it or something. Ooh,
it? That'd be
you know
clean.
what? We might have to sponsor something like that. Get them a skin to go over the top of it.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. Y'all win tonight. Let's talk about it.
Well, we'll move in. Instead of doing a recap this year, we're going to do, like we did last week, we're going to discuss playoffs. So far, we've got 4 district champions crowned. You've got Texas High, James Bowie, Prescott, and Hooks. Congrats to those 4 teams. With wins tonight and tomorrow night, you've got Pleasant Grove, Mineral, Dangerfield, and Arkadelphia. Now, 3 of those I think are going to happen. Arkadelphia, they drew the short end of the stick because they've got to play Jalen Dupree and the Malvern Leopards, who are undefeated and ranked number 1 in 4A. And I don't know if you've heard of Jalen Dupree, but Jalen's got 22 Division I offers, couple Power 5 offers, and he has ran for over 6,000 yards as a Malvern Leopard and broke the record of Madre Hill, who was a Razorback legend. So that's
Well, it sounds like Arkadelphia is not going to win.
and then
Long way to say that.
Arkadelphia has a chance. They do. That could be a good game. Arkadelphia's
From what you just
quality
said, start
squad.
airing up the basketballs.
But Paul Pewitt is going to need a little help. They're going to need a lot of help.
I'm surprised they still can get in.
If the Redwater Dragons go and beat Winky Williams and the DeKalb Bears, the Paul Pewitt Brahmas are your 4 seed, Redwater's your 3 seed, and New Boston will be sitting at home.
All right. If Redwater loses,
If
is Redwater still the 3 seed?
If Redwater loses, New Boston is a 3 seed, Redwater's a 4, and Paul Pewitt is out by the multiplier or the negative
What
points.
did our producer just say?
Edit that, please.
All right. Well, so all right. Redwater wins. Paul Pewitt's in. New Boston's out.
Correct.
Redwater loses. Paul Pewitt's out. New Boston's in.
and Redwater's the 4.
Huh.
Very interesting. And we kind of got a similar situation. I can't go into as much detail because I hadn't studied it, but you got Wascom, Elysian Fields, and Queen City in a potential 3-way down there that will come down, if they're all tied, in the negative points within selected games of those 3 common opponents. So that's why Paul Puett's out, because if Redwater loses is because of they have the most negative points in those 3 games. Very interesting.
You mentioned Texas High's first opponent. Is it going to be Terrell?
Terrell, yep,
Yes.
just like last year.
Well, my brain started hurting because I was looking at them this morning because they're actually going to have 3 teams that are 4-3 in that district, and each of them have beat each other. So
Terrell's a dangerous team to
That
play
is
in the
not a
first
4
round,
seed,
man.
is it?
No, Terrell's not a 4 seed. They're just they've been injured, and they're like this week they'll have everybody back, so you get a decent look at them. But
And they
like,
got them last year.
like it's that's not what you want after coming out of a district that you really weren't pushed in to have to play Terrell.
Yeah, someone is going to make you play 4 quarters.
Yeah,
We
that's
got
a tough one.
we
All
got
right, so hold on. Redwater. All right, DCAB's number 2 seed no matter what.
Nope. If Redwater beats DeKalb, the Redwater Dragons are your 2 seed in that district.
Okay, so they have something to play for.
They do have
I
something
was
to
trying
play
to
for.
decide if it mattered
And
or not, so I guess it does matter.
From my understanding, Marquez Jones is not playing because I saw on social media he had a broken wrist or has had a broken wrist. You know, if it's me, if Coach Lane's watching, I'm taking a piece out of Redwater's playbook and I'm making Marquez Jones play regardless. We're gonna run Winky Williams up and down the sideline. But
Yeah, I mean, I've played with broken wrists several times.
yeah,
But it really just depends how long ago did he break it?
well,
Because it's really weak once you first break it. But, 3
Well-
weeks down the road,
well,
it's all
I
right.
believe he said he'd played multiple weeks with it broke. So
So he's got a hairline fracture
I
probably.
was surprised that he wasn't going to play. But you never know how these injuries affect people differently.
Yeah. I can vouch for it, man. You break your wrist, that is like super painful. You can't use it, but it's like overnight you'll be able to use it again. But I definitely wouldn't recommend playing football a week after you break it.
Well, I
A
think
wide
this-
receiver of all things.
I think this happened way back or something. But
Oh, okay.
That's just from what I gathered. But the folks in Omaha and Morris County are big time Redwater Dragon fans tonight
Okay.
or tomorrow. And the teams that have played will play their last games this
Hope
week.
Redwater wins, man. That'd be
I'd like to see Redwater win
Yeah,
and Paul
that'd be,
Pitt get in.
Buddy
I mean,
would
I
be
know-
excited.
yeah.
He
I know.
would.
I know. DCAB.
He'd have 2 teams
I would assume is the favorite.
by 31.
Okay. Yeah. But that'd be a great win for that for Coach Lane, his program.
Absolutely be a big night for Redwater. All right, your teams that have played their last game or will play their last games tonight or tomorrow night. The Foreman Gators, Arkansas Razorbacks, DeQueen Leopards, Horatio Lions, Rivercrest Rebels, Detroit Eagles, Prairieland Patriots, Mount Pleasant Tigers, Pittsburgh Pirates, Hugh Springs Mustangs, and the Hope Bobcats.
So Arkansas High, kind of feel bad for Coach over there. Not kind of. I do feel bad for him. I feel like this was a year he should have been in the playoffs, but it's really not anybody's fault.
Well, they just play an absolute gauntlet.
Yeah.
I mean, those teams, we compare Arkansas to Texas. I mean, and here's the thing. If Arkansas High came to Texas, they would be a 4A team, probably a 4A Division I team.
I don't think that's actually correct. I was looking at their numbers. They'd be a 5A team.
No, because with what they graduate, everything's back a little bit. They're
Okay.
going to graduate about 200 kids. Arkansas High is now. That falls in 4A category. Used to they graduate
Oh.
over 300, but the
I mean, I don't know if that's.
down.
I mean, I'm not. You may be right, but I don't feel like PG's graduating 200 kids.
No, PG graduates 188 right now on average.
Huh.
And that's that's current enrollment numbers. They were at 195 last enrollment time on average.
Okay.
But Arkansas High for given year is going to be 200 to 220. That's still going to fall in 4A Division I, or probably Division II, to be honest. But my point is, all those teams that they're playing would come over here and compete. They're good teams.
Yeah.
I mean, Arkansas High got not a raw deal. It's how life works out sometimes.
If they move up to 6A, which may happen.
If they move up to 6A, they could be better off because they get out of that schedule they've got. That 6A conference they would go into is not as good as what they played in this year.
Okay.
That's
So
not.
speaking of cutoffs, has anyone ever figured out what Carthage turned in?
I'm sure.
I bet you if the cutoff's 800, they turned in 799.5.
Yeah, they turned in 800 last time, and it was 801 literally, and they turned it in about a week later than everybody else.
Yeah, they didn't turn it in on time this time either.
No, it's just what they do, and it's what's allowed. You know,
I mean, they're not gonna go after the golden goose. You know,
they got their hands slapped this year, and that's probably about as big as it's ever going to get.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's ever been caught without it going on paper, it definitely happened this year.
Yep, the Aaron Hampton situation may have set them back a little bit in some of the things they do, because you had Aaron Hampton, a kid from Pine Tree, and a kid from Kilgore that all went and enrolled at Carthage. Won't say names, but an individual took a stand and did not back down to him, and all three kids returned to their schools and played this year.
Which may be a thing of the future if Perry gets his way with the vouchers.
Is that where you can go wherever you want
You
to?
can go wherever you want to.
School choice in Arkansas, basically.
Basically is what it sounds like. And on the outside, that doesn't sound like a bad deal, but like the more you think about it,
The rich get richer.
yeah, I mean, like are some of these schools not going to be open 2 years from then? And then are some of these some of these schools that, you know, let's say kids want to go to, or these 4A schools going to pop up 6A schools overnight?
Right.
You know, is there going to be a wider gap between good and bad schools?
Well, that's
you know,
that's what I mean by rich get richer. You're going to have the haves and the have-nots get even worse than it is now if this is allowed.
yeah. I mean,
There has to be some kind of checks and balances. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it can't just be snap your fingers and do it. There needs to be a little
Well,
accountability.
the accountability now is a joke. I mean, we all know that, but I also realize it's an impossible task.
Right.
You know, so I don't know.
Well, do y'all have anything else this morning, or
Who else did you say? Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant didn't make the playoffs?
not going to make the playoffs?
Man, I hate that.
And I didn't realize until Eddie Hackle. Eddie was. I still thought they were alive, and Eddie was telling me, you know, that in the scenario that they're out, and that's very unfortunate because they won some good games this year.
Yeah.
You know, and they stayed in our poll most of the time. Mason McMinn's a great player. Money Thompson going to Louisiana Tech. I mean, they got some dudes. They got a sophomore that's offered by UTSA. Some good things are going on with Coach Cluey over there, but they're not going to get in this year.
We'll give a shout out to Nick Martin leading the Big 12 in tackles at Oklahoma State. Xavier Benson from Texarkana, also a leading tackler on that Oklahoma State team. I have a credential for Saturday for the Oklahoma State game, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to go. But
Do you want to give it? Do you want to give it to me?
it's not one of them I can just give to somebody.
We know some people that can alter some stuff. You know.
Well, that's not really the way it works. It's supposed to work anyway.
Well, you said in that text message.
But, and then, you know, Landon, top 20 in the country in sacks. You know, projected high draft pick. Clayton Smith got him 1.5 sacks the other night.
What'd Marcus do? I seen we had a graphic.
Yeah, he had 4 tackles at the defensive tackle spot.
That never happens.
No. 4 solo tackles, too, which is crazy. So if he didn't make the play, they were going for 5 or 6. But, yeah, man, just some great players playing good ball from Texarkana.
What
Proud
a
of
great
everybody.
time. What a great time. You look at the kids we got that are in college, and we're just naming the big ones. We're not even naming the ones that
Yeah.
are OBU and stuff. But those kids in the high school football here, this year's a special, special year.
Yeah. If you're watching, like, it's very difficult to play at the collegiate level. At any, like, you know, NAIA, Division II, Division I AA, it is extremely, extremely difficult to get on the field and perform at a Power 5 school. Like, I cannot stress to you enough how many kids fail. And, I mean, I don't want to call it failing, but like, it just happens. A true number, over 70% of the kids you see leave to go play college sports are coming back the first semester. 70%. So we have all these kids on a national stage playing great football. Like, support them. It's a big deal. And I cannot stress to you enough how big of a deal it is.
When you talk about that support, and I've made this challenge multiple times, from this streaming, go to a game. I mean, Liberty Owl's at home, Pleasant Grove's at home,
Texas High's at home.
So go support them, and you'll definitely watch some folks that will be playing on Saturday.
Go watch the Thursday game tonight in DeQueen at their phenomenal stadium.
I'm going to Fouke tonight.
Going to Fouke?
Yep. Going to Fouke.
Out for that monster.
Chris Looney wants to let us know that the 10U Tigers play LE in the second round of the playoffs Saturday in Marshall. If you ain't got nothing to do, go see Cale Looney. Go show out. Donnie Kelly's coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple of the 5th and 6th grade Pleasant Grove tackle players trick-or-treat at my house.
Really?
So
They're still undefeated, aren't
loaded them up with a couple of full-size candy bars.
Nice. Oh, you're full-size candy bar house now, huh?
My wife has she has 3 different baskets. So if you have a cute outfit or whatever, she'll give you the good stuff, and if you don't, then you get the.
I gave
regular
game
candy.
day sunglasses and candy.
Game day sunglasses.
But I didn't really have a lot of trick-or-treaters, and then out of nowhere, it's like as soon as it got dark, I guess my house was blinking and stuff. As soon as it got dark, I mean, we had like hundreds of kids.
Your house would be kind of tough to get to trick-or-treat, just thinking about it.
People park on the street. They park over in the grass. People are walking up from the neighborhoods. It's like they all show up at once.
I actually
So-
had an engagement, and I couldn't be at home for Halloween, but my wife said it was
I wouldn't want to walk up them stairs you got.
well, the people from Walmart delivery don't either. I make sure I close the garage now. Make them walk up there.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that's it.
That's it, and I feel like we had a great show, and I feel like we've had a great year.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next
Goes a
week.
lot smoother without Buddy.
It is. It's just higher quality.
Yeah. Better personnel. All right.